Hello, my name is Megan Searing-Young, and I'm the director of the Greenbelt Museum right here in Greenbelt, Maryland. Welcome to Women's History Month.
Elizabeth Cochran Seaman, better known under her pen name Nellie Bly, was an American investigative reporter in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. She was a pioneer in the field of investigative journalism, sometimes credited as the first gonzo journalist. She broke major news when she went undercover as a patient at the Women's Lunatic Asylum on Blackwell's Island. She reported on the deplorable conditions, including first-hand accounts of brutality and neglect, eventually compiling her reports into a book called 10 Days in a Madhouse. What she unearthed while undercover resulted in a grand jury investigation, as well as increased funding for the Department of Public Charities and Corrections. Her story has been adapted several times for film and television. Valerie Thomas, a Maryland native, graduated from Morgan State University as one of 2 women in her class with a physics degree. She got a job with NASA as a data analyst, and after a short period of time was chosen to lead the Landsat program. In that capacity, she developed the digital media format's image processing system they used to produce millions of images of Earth. She went on to invent and patent the Illusion Transmitter in 1980, which was an early version of modern 3D technology. It used concave mirrors to transmit 3-dimensional looking images between them. NASA continues to use her technology to this day. Thomas now seeks to inspire young people, and in her retirement, works as a substitute teacher at Duval High School. Ida Lupino started her career as a successful dramatic actress and became the only woman in the Directors Guild by the late 40s. She first took on the role of director on the set of Not Wanted when the original director had a heart attack just after production began. Many of her early films dealt with social issues particular to women, such as unwed motherhood, violence against women, and bigamy. Her later films have been considered masculine due to their action-heavy, hard-hitting material that focused more on men. Recent critics have evaluated her work through a feminist lens, exploring the way her male characters were represented as restless, out-of-control types, roles that were generally reserved for women. She achieved professional quality with extremely low budgets, and her off-the-cuff shooting style has led some to label her as a one-woman new wave movement. She was the first woman to direct a mainstream film noir with Hitchhiker, the only woman to direct episodes of The Twilight Zone, and built her own independent production company called The Filmmakers. Due to her numerous credits, she remains Hollywood's most prolific woman director to date. Revolutionary and politician Corazon Aquino became the first woman to hold the office of president in the Philippines in 1986. She led the 1986 People Power Revolution as a self-proclaimed plain housewife, which toppled the autocrat Ferdinand Marcos, ending his 20-year rule. Following her husband's assassination in 1983, when he returned from exile to run against Marcos, Aquino ran in his place. Due to reports of electoral fraud when Marcos claimed victory, Aquino called for civil disobedience in the form of a peaceful revolution. Massive civilian mobilization and the military reversing their stance to support her led to her becoming president upon Marcos's resignation. As president, she strove for democracy, limiting the powers of the president and re-establishing the bicameral Congress. She made major strides for civil liberties, human rights, and peaceful negotiations between insurgent factions. In 1987, she became the first Filipino awarded the Prize for Freedom and is regarded by the international diplomatic community as the mother of democracy. Political figure, diplomat, and activist Eleanor Roosevelt served as First Lady of the United States during Franklin D. Roosevelt's 4-term presidency. She became the first U.S. delegate to the United Nations and the first chair of the UN Commission on Human Rights, where she oversaw the drafting of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In her later years, she was applauded for her achievements in human rights, but during her terms as First Lady, she was a controversial figure due to her outspoken support of civil rights, particularly for African Americans. She insisted that the benefits of the New Deal be equally extended to all races when she became aware of the program discriminating against African Americans. She arranged the appointment of Black activist and educator Mary McLeod Bethune to the National Youth Administration, and broke tradition by inviting hundreds of African Americans to the White House. She opposed Japanese internment and spoke out against Japanese American prejudice following the attack on Pearl Harbor. She also banned male reporters from attending her press conferences, of which she held 348, in order to force newspapers to keep female reporters on staff. She continued her work as a champion of human rights until her death in 1962. Sarojini Naidu was a poet, activist, and politician given the title the Nightingale of India due to the colorful sensory and lyrical quality of her poems. As an activist, she fought for civil rights, women's emancipation, and was an essential figure in India's struggle for independence from colonial rule. She traveled throughout India giving lectures on social welfare, women's rights, and nationalism, and established the Women's Indian Association. In 1925, she became the first woman appointed president of the Indian National Congress, one of the major political parties in India. She helped lead the civil disobedience movement and the Quit India movement, and was arrested several times by British authorities. After India gained independence, she was appointed governor of the United Provinces, serving as India's first woman governor. Her poetry is still taught in Indian schools and European universities to this day.
Thanks for watching GATE. To find out more about the Greenbelt Museum, visit greenbeltmuseum.org. See you next time.